The Mahabharata, one of the world's greatest epics, was taught in ancient India as a case study of presumed historical events through a study of social sciences, philosophy, geography, and geopolitics. Today, let's understand the geopolitics of the time of Mahabharata through its story. Let's not start with the time of King Shantanu, let's start with the time of Pandu and Dhritarashtra. Also, the early life of Krishna is not mentioned in the Mahabharata, so his backstory comes from Harivamsa. The nations in blue are Chandravanshi tribes, descendants of Puru. The nations in purple are Yadava tribes, descendants of Yadu. The nations in red are Suryavanshi tribes of the Ishwaku dynasty. The nations in brown are the Naga tribes, presumably tribal kingdoms in dark blue, and the ones in black are those whose lineage is relatively unknown. Some later kingdoms like Chola, Pandya, Chera, Indo-Greeks, Indo-Scythians, Indo-Parthians and Huns were interpolated later to update the political geography. They are excluded here. Now let's get started. The northern plains around the Kuru-Panchal region was an area of fertile plains around the Ganga-Yamuna river. This land was the core of Vedic civilization, and due to its fertility, it was prosperous and thus a dominant political force. It also existed on a trade route connecting Indo-Gangetic plains with Gandhara and beyond. Then was the region of Braj of Satvata tribes, with Mathura as the capital. It was at a major trade route connecting the Kuru region with Magadha. Then there was the region of Magadha, Anga, Vanga and Kalinga. Magadha not only had fertile land and rivers, it had a lot of forests, iron ore and minerals, and through Anga, Kalinga and Tamralipta, it was connected to the maritime trade routes. This made Magadha an important rising political force that later reached its full potential during the Mauryan Empire. Each kingdom had their internal politics and competition against the other kingdoms to become the sovereign of the entire Indian subcontinent. The Kuru kingdom, with its capital at Hastinapur, was a dominant regional power in the north, engaged in a continuous tussle with Panchala for supremacy. Panchal was made of 5 clans, out of which Drupad of the Somaka clan ruled as king then. The Satvata kingdom at Mathura was ruled by Ugrasena, but the system was more like a multi-clan aristocracy. Ugrasena's son Kamsa was married to the daughters of Jarasandha, king of Magadha, an ambitious, powerful man. Kamsa himself, being ambitious, with the support of Jarasandha, imprisoned his father Ugrasena and became the tyrant king of Mathura. He also imprisons all family and friends which he perceived as a threat. Kamsa's nephew Krishna is brought up in secret at Vrindavan by Nanda, a friend of Vasudeva, Krishna's father. So Mathura is now a Magadha ally. Meanwhile, in Hastinapur, King Pandu dies in self-exile, making his elder blind brother Dhritarashtra the caretaker king of the Kurus. This creates a succession crisis between the sons of Pandu, the Pandavas, and the sons of Dhritarashtra. In Gokul, Krishna and his elder brother Balaram grows older enough to finish off Kamsa and liberate Mathura from his tyranny. Ugrasena is released and made the king. This makes Jarasandha of Magadha and his allies like Vidarbha, Chedi and Nishad a threat to the Satvat kingdom. Meanwhile, Dronacharya, a great teacher and warrior, is hired by the Kuru kingdom to teach the royal princess and extended kinsmen. Dronacharya and Drupad of Panchala were childhood friends turned enemies. As a fee for his teaching, Dronacharya asks the princess to get him half of Drupad's kingdom. The Kuru princes invade Panchal and eventually Arjuna succeeds. Panchal is broken into two, one ruled by Drupad at Kampilya and one ruled by Dronacharya's son Ashwathama at Ahichatra. Meanwhile, after resisting invasions from Magadha 18 times, Krishna convinces his countrymen to abandon Mathura and establish a new state far away at Dwarka. This new state has a sort of republican system that has an assembly that elects Krishna as their leader. Dwarka region grows prosperous as it is on the international trade route. The rising powers of the Kurus in the north and of the Magadha in the south makes Panchal and Yadavas grow closer. Internal conflicts for succession intensifies in Kuru state. Karna, an important member of the tribe, is made king of Anga, which was once annexed by Hastinapura. Champa is handed over to Karna by Jarasandha as they become allies. Karna sides with Duryodhana, posing a challenge to Arjuna. Yudhishthira, being the eldest of the Kuru cousins, is made the crown prince by Dhritarashtra after pressure from the Kuru society. But Duryodhana has another plan. He gifts Pandavas a palace made from lac and other inflammable materials, which is then burnt down in an attempt to kill them. They escape this assassination attempt and go incognito as Brahmins. Assuming Yudhishthira is dead, Duryodhana is made the crown prince and the successor to the Kuru kingdom. Without allies, Pandavas are helpless, and so they remain incognito till they find new allies. The sons of Pandu marry Draupadi, daughter of Drupad of Panchala. Arjuna marries Subhadra, Krishna's half-sister. Hence, they make marital alliances and gain support mostly from Drupad of Panchal and their maternal cousin Krishna of the Yadava Republic. With the backing of Dwarka and Panchala, the Pandu sons return to Hastinapura, making the situation awkward for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. In order to avoid clashes, the Kuru kingdom is partitioned into two. The original Hastinapur kingdom in the east near the Ganga river, headed by Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, and the new Khandavaprastha kingdom to the west near the Yamuna river, ruled by Yudhishthira. Till now, both groups were referred to as Kauravas, the descendant of Kuru. But henceforth, Pandavas emerged as a new dynasty. While part of the Kuru kingdom, the region of Khandava was technically a jungle and was under the control of Kauravian Naga tribes, whose king was Takshak. In order to establish an urban civilization, bring land under cultivation, and to get control over the region from the Nagas, Arjuna burns down the forest and invades the Naga territory. Nagas are killed, some escape and some surrender. Khandavaprastha is made into a well-planned megacity of Indraprastha. Arjuna marries a Naga princess named Ulupi, and possibly the Nagas are integrated into this new state. This is the region near Purana Kila in present-day Delhi. Meanwhile, Krishna weds his love Rukmini against the will of her brother Rukmi, the king of Vidarbha, whom he defeats in a battle. The politics involving Yadavas is escalated. In order to get wider recognition for his new kingdom, Yudhishthira decides to take up Rajasuya Yajna, a ritual to make him the emperor of India. For this, he must subjugate all the kingdoms in India. But Magadha poses a serious challenge. Therefore, with Krishna's plan, Bhima goes as a commoner to have a duel with Jarasandha. During this duel, Bhima kills Jarasandha. Jarasandha's son Sahadeva is made the king of Magadha, who would remain loyal to the Pandavas, hence ending the threat to Yadavas. With Jarasandha out of their way, Chedi and Vidarbha kingdoms lose their leader. Pandavas attain the overlordship of the entire India through conquest, and Yudhishthira emerges as Chakravarti. During the coronation ceremony of Yudhishthira at Indraprastha, all kings participate and give tributes to their new emperor and overlord. Shishupala of Chedi kingdom and cousin of Krishna escalates a verbal spat leading to his death at the hands of Krishna, the chief guest at the event. After defeating Shishupala, his son Drishtaketu is appointed as the king of Chedi kingdom, making Chedi the client state of the Dwaraka Republic and the Mathura kingdom. Shakuni, king of Gandhar and maternal uncle of Duryodhana, understands that Pandavas cannot be defeated through conventional means. So he invites them for a friendly gambling game at Hastinapura. In this game, Yudhishthira loses his kingdom and a lot more. Eventually, it is decided that Pandavas would go into exile for 12 years, and in the 13th year, they will live in disguise. If they are discovered before the 13th year ends, they will have to repeat the 12 years of exile. If they are not discovered in the 13th year, they will regain their kingdom of Indraprastha. Many events take place in these 12 years, and in the 13th year, Pandavas enter the Matsya kingdom as commoners and join the service of King Virat. Kichaka, the commander of Matsya kingdom and Virat's brother-in-law, is a very dominating person in the kingdom. He tries to molest Draupadi, who is now a royal maid, and is killed by Bhima, who is the royal cook. Susharman of Trigartha kingdom invades Matsya and captures Virat. Bhima rescues him and captures Susharman. This makes Kauravas believe that Pandavas are hiding in the Matsya kingdom. Hastinapur invades Matsya and is faced by Virat's son Uttar and Arjuna disguised as a woman. Arjuna successfully defends Matsya, but their identity is revealed. This leads to a debate whether the 13th year has been completed or not, due to differences in calendar calculations based on astronomy. Virat's daughter Uttara is married to Arjun's son Abhimanyu, making Matsya their new ally. Now, with Matsya, southern Panchal, and Dwarka on their side, Pandavas decide to demand their kingdom back through peaceful diplomacy. Both Kauravas and Pandavas build their alliances in case of a full-out war. There were multiple diplomatic efforts made by both sides to de-escalate the situation, the last one led by Krishna as Pandava's ambassador. Now, while in popular belief, the 5 villages demanded by Krishna for Pandavas as a bargain were Parnaprastha, Swarnaprastha, Indraprastha, Tilaprastha, and Vyagaprastha, places strategically located to surround and block trade routes of Hastinapur, and so Duryodhana rejected it. But as per the original Mahabharata source, the villages proposed by Krishna were Kushasthala, Brakasthala, Asandi, and Varnavar. And Krishna gave Duryodhana the choice of selecting the 5th village as a gesture of goodwill. These 4 villages were not strategically important, but had some emotional connection with Pandavas. The talks fail and the war becomes inevitable. Kingdoms in red on the sides of Kauravas and kingdoms in blue on the sides of Pandavas. The king of Kashmir, still being a toddler, does not participate in the war. Rukmi of Vidarbha tries to join the war but gets rejected by both sides. Balrama decides not to participate in the war because he has marital relations with both sides. When Arjuna and Duryodhana go to Krishna to seek alliances, in his condition, Krishna asks Arjuna to either choose him or his army. As Arjuna chooses Krishna, who won't fight in the war and will be there only for moral support and strategy, Duryodhana gets Krishna's Narayan army. But we see in the war that the Yadava army is fighting on both sides. Yadava Republic at Dwarka had 2 major factions, Vrishni and Andhaka. While Vrishni general Satyaki sides with Pandavas with his army faction, Kritavarma of the Andhaka sides with Kauravas with the main army. This makes the war of the 2 Kuru faction supported by 2 Yadava factions and also 2 Panchala faction, one under Drupad and one under Ashwatthama. Both armies meet in the empty field of Kurukshetra, a place where many later battles would be fought. Pandavas win, rule Hastinapura and conduct Ashwamedha Yajna to regain status of Chakravarti. The Yadava enmity, amplified by the Kurukshetra War, continues and culminates into a civil war, killing almost everyone. Krishna and Balrama die a natural death, while most Yadavas kill off each other. Pandavas retired and leave for the Himalayas, making grandson of Arjuna, Parikshita, the king who is later assassinated by the Nagas to avenge the destruction of Khandava forest. As a result, Janmejaya, Parikshita's successor, goes on a genocide of Nagas until he is stopped by Astika, a sage with Naga roots, who recites him the story of Mahabharata, the story of his ancestors. The Naga tribes migrate to central India, where we see the later Nagavanshi kingdoms of tribal origin. Centuries later, Hastinapur gets flooded and the capital is moved to Kosambi during the time of Nichakshu. His descendant is Udayana, a contemporary of Buddha, and so we slowly enter the historical age. This is how people learned politics and geography in ancient India. This was an attempt to simplify the idea of Mahabharata in a geopolitical context. Hope you have liked it, and for more such content on history, mythology and fiction, stay tuned to Craft Now.